wouldn't be fun without a loop.
You hungry?
Sounds like sound to me. Sounds good, right? And then how loud do you want it? I don't want it too loud, right? I got it up pretty high. Also, it's on 2 and 3, not 1. 1's for podium. You ready though? And just let me know when to start it. All right, start it off.
Good morning. We've had a slight change to our program because we had someone come to us this morning who wanted to sing. And so I wanted to give them the opportunity to do that. This is Nell Favor, who is a student in the Honors College in biochemistry. So come on up, Nell.
I want to thank Daniela and Cecilia and also Alana for once again giving me the opportunity to sing for everyone here. So I hope you enjoy. Has a life that thing demands on. I'm sorry. That was my mistake. I'll start over. It's a dead thing you can claim, but every rock and tree and creature has a life, has a spirit, has a name. Earth is just that thing. Is it okay?
Sorry. Do what? Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
You can just take this.
All right.
He had another song that he wanted to do, so we threw him for a loop. So he's going to do his original song that he came with.
There, you can read off it, man.
I know this one.
Okay. Confidence, I like it.
Yeah. All right.
So,
I hope everyone here likes jazz. I was gonna come here. Frank Sinatra. Yep.
All right.
Fly me to the moon and let me play among the stars. Let me see what spring is like on a Jupiter and Mars. In other words, hold my hands. In other words, baby, kiss me. Fill my heart with song and let me sing forevermore. You are all I worship, all I worship and adore. In other words, please be. In other words, baby, kiss me. Take it. Fill my heart with song and let me sing forevermore. Let me sing. In other words, please be true. In other words, in other words, I love you. All right, thank you very much. Happy Arbor Day.
Okay, hello. I do have notes, but now I think I'm going to sing. And no, I better not sing. For your sake, I'd better not sing. So hi, welcome to the Robert J. Huckshorn Arboretum. My name is Brian Nichols. I'm an associate professor there we go. Yeah, it's touchy. Of science and environmental education here at FAU Jupiter. So when you do environmental education, there's always kind of a good news, bad news sort of thing. And I'm going to mostly skip the bad news because we all know that environmental issues can be alarming and that kind of thing. But there's a new study that just came out in Science that shows conservation efforts and well-managed protected areas can have a really effective role in reducing biodiversity loss and even restoring some of the biodiversity that we have. So this is good news for those of us that work in this field. Natural spaces can also help mitigate climate change. We can develop better relationships with the animals that also live in Florida and the ecosystems that they rely on. So I just want you to close your eyes for a second here and think about a connection with a Florida animal, a wild Florida animal that you've had recently-ish, and just kind of imagine having some sort of connection. If you haven't got one, just listen to the birds chirping, because, you know, so I teach science teachers and I teach environmental educators, and I study how we connect with wildlife, the importance of attitudes like respect and appreciation, empathy, compassion. Connecting with wild animals has always been just a source of awe and joy in my life. But for many kids now, that's not really a big option for them, right? They don't have those opportunities. In environmental education, we call this the extinction of experience. They're not able to have those opportunities to connect with wildlife like we might have had in the past. And so this is alarming and disconcerting, but it is something that we can reverse. We can help provide them with more opportunities to connect. And so we need places like this, right? We need places that have reciprocal benefits where the trees and the birds and the bees benefit, but we also benefit by coming here and listening and getting a bit of peace. So there's ecosystem services associated with protected areas. It turns out that quality time in nature is just really good for us, children, adults, everybody, physically and mentally. So these are all great reasons to save and conserve more areas. This little forest right here that we're in is a Tree Campus USA. It's like a little oasis of native species in an area that is becoming increasingly developed. I'm told it's now an eBird hotspot because people come here and birds, both people and birds come here. And so there's a lot of bird sightings in this little area right here. I know that the butterflies all recommended, at least the ones I've met recently, and so it's just a good little area for this kind of thing. But it's also part of a bigger picture. We need bigger protected areas as well if we want to avoid losing Florida's bigger animals. So I encourage everybody to get out to larger parks like Jonathan Dickinson or MacArthur Beach or the Everglades, that sort of thing. And I also want to call out what is potentially the largest conservation area in Florida, potentially, and that's the Florida Wildlife Corridor. And this is an ambitious plan to sort of connect ecosystems in a way that allows the biggest and the shyest of our wildlife to move and connect with each other up and down the state. So Abacoa, as a community, has got connections to FAU, to the Brain Institute, Scripps, Max Planck, and other prestigious local organizations like civil society, for example. And but we have lost a lot of natural habitat by building all around here. As most of you know, the area south of Donald Ross Road was forested not that long ago. So we need to do a better job, and we can do a better job. In Florida, we have some real success stories. We brought back alligators. We brought back a lot of wading birds. Offshore, we brought back Goliath grouper. All these species were on like the brink of extinction, and we brought them back, primarily by just not killing so many of them, but also by providing them with habitat, with working out reciprocal relationships, managing a bit of risk. We can do a better job of this. Luckily for those species, they kind of prefer the wetter, cheaper habitat in Florida, the wetlands and that kind of stuff. But we have also developed relationships with animals that live on more expensive real estate. Most of you know, just down the road is Loggerhead Marine Life Center. I'm on the education committee there. Thousands of big sea turtles come ashore successfully nesting every summer because of how we manage that busy beach. And so this is something that is possible for us as well. It's more challenging for animals that roam around on land and need a lot of room to roam. But with the same skills, with education and with effective conservation and management, we can restore bears. We can restore panthers to most of their habitat. We can even bring back red wolves if we work at it. And so this is something that I would like to see a lot more of, and that conserved areas like this can do. We can use these places to connect with our wildlife, to educate ourselves and the next generations how to be better neighbors, how to notice each other, and how to appreciate each other. So welcome to the Robert J. Huckshorn Arboretum. This is a small piece of an important big picture of conservation, of education, and connection with our wildlife. Thank you. Oh. And let me introduce our keystone speaker, Kelsey Monroe, Dr. Kelsey Monroe.
Thank you. I wish I were just a keystone speaker, right? The most important piece that holds it together. It's the keynote. But I am going to talk about some keystone species today, so I really appreciate that introduction. That was fantastic. I'm an instructor of biology here, and it's a little amusing to me to be talking on Arbor Day about ecosystems because my training is as a molecular biologist. So those are the things that are smaller than a single cell. But since coming to FAU 2 years ago, I've really started to work with the bigger organisms and how organisms interact with their communities. And so it's really fun to be making this jump. And I want to talk to you today a little bit about ecosystem engineers. So although I am trained as a molecular biologist, I really see myself as an educator and as a biology education researcher. That's what I've been doing for the past more than a decade of my life. And so I like to have this be a little more interactive than just you sitting and learning from me. I want you to learn from each other. So take 30 seconds, say hello to your neighbor, and tell me briefly what you think an ecosystem engineer might be. All right, 30 seconds goes really fast. Who wants to share something that they talked about? You can share what your neighbor talked about if you don't want to share what you said. Awesome. Let me summarize so that everyone can hear. So you thought the Arboretum might be an example of engineering that we could do to make a place where organisms can come together and interact with each other. What are some other ideas that people have? Yeah. Awesome. So talking about animals as ecosystem engineers. And so biologists might talk, so there's actually there's controversy about whether there is actually animals that are particular ecosystem engineers. There's arguments about that term. The most classical animal that is described as an ecosystem engineer is the beaver, that fells trees and builds dams that change water flows and stabilize the water system and change the habitats that other organisms can use. We as humans are obviously ecosystem engineers, often for the detriment to nature, to organisms. But yes, this arboretum is an example of how humans can engineer and create an ecosystem. So and Nell, our gifted singer, he is studying an ecosystem engineer, the gopher tortoise. So gopher tortoises are a threatened species in Florida. And they're considered ecosystem engineers because they build these big burrows underground, sometimes 10 feet deep. The longest one that's been measured is about 60 feet in length, which is really long. So this huge network of tunnels. And it's not just for the gopher tortoise. There are over 300 other species, many of them themselves threatened species, that also use these tunnels. And so the reason that there's a lot of emphasis on caring for the gopher tortoise and preventing them from diminishing is because they impact so many other species. Here at the Arboretum, we have building all these trees that provide nests for birds, right? And that provide a place for us people to come together. So we've designed this, I had no part in the design. The people who designed the Arboretum created this as a place for species to come together and so other species can thrive. John Moore on our campus studies gopher tortoises, has been studying them for 25 years. If you walk along the preserve that's at the corner of Central and Frederick's Mall, in between the baseball fields, right, that little preserve, there's a whole bunch of gopher tortoises there. We're up to about number 220 now. And you might not know that they're all there, but if you see a gopher tortoise and see a yellow number on it, that's one of John Moore's study population. And the way that Abacoa was built was really to provide this greenway space where it's not, yes, there was a lot of habitat destruction in building it, but there were also these preserves created and they're connected to each other. So the wildlife corridor that Florida is working on to connect these big populations of protected areas, that was done in Abacoa. And so the gopher tortoises actually can move from place to place, and it turns out lots of other organisms do too. John Moore's undergraduate student put up these camera traps and right at the corridors. And you might not notice the corridors. They're tunnels under roadways that connect two different green spaces together. And he put cameras up and saw all kinds of species using these corridors and these pathways to move from one habitat to the next to the next. And that allows the populations to stay connected and not isolated. Isolated populations tend not to survive as well because they lose their the diversity of the species that are participating in that population. So here in the Arboretum, because of many of you being here, I imagine you've seen the different uses for it, right? To bring community together. We've held Tai Chi classes here. I've seen outdoor enthusiasts coming here. Birders, right? We were just, one of the birds that was taken a picture of just last week made it to the eBird Bird of the Day. So there's a lot of birders here. There are photographers that are coming here. I see people that are running and biking take a break and take a breather, have a snack here. We use it in the university as a classroom. Kathy was just telling me that she had her last cell biology class out here because why could you not enjoy the nice day without enjoying it in nature? I teach biodiversity, and so our students come here. Why show them a slide on the screen, as Kathy said, rather than just showing it to them live? We had our gopher tortoise class here. There are art classes that are held in this space so that students can learn how to draw nature. And students use it for other things. I've seen faculty hold office hours. We have Wi-Fi and power here, so students can study here. It's really an amazing space that helps communities and really shapes the way that we interact with each other. So as an educator, I always like to have you think about a take-home. And so I want you to think about maybe a way that you can be an ecosystem engineer with nature, with your community, some way that you can change the way that other people thrive and interact as a result of your work. So I'll give you 30 seconds to talk about that with your neighbor, and then we'll close out here. I can hear there's so much great discussion on, but I do not want to take up too much of our time from our program today. So just shout out a couple of quick ideas. Yeah.
Planting wildflowers so that bees.
Yeah, planting wildflowers that are going to attract the pollinators that are so crucial for the success of any flowering plant. Yes, what else? Yeah.
I will try to plant native plants to get hydrocarbon organic product attract wildlife.
Wonderful. Yes, native plants especially, so that we don't bring invasive species that outcompete for resources with the ones that were originally here. Great suggestion. Yeah.
This is here, but also especially like upwards where it's more basically rethinking the lawn and like what the damage that a monoculture can do to the ecosystem.
Yeah, rethinking lawns, and are there other ways that we can, design our home spaces so they're not threatening the ecosystem and instead welcoming it? Great. Well, this is wonderful discussion. Thank you so much for your input, and thank you for coming out for Arbor Day celebration. We'll move on to Elena.
Good morning. Thank you all for coming today. Today we gather to celebrate Arbor Day, and celebrating Arbor Day is one of the essential elements of being part of the Tree Campus Higher Education Program, what it says right there on that flag. And that is a program coordinated by the Arbor Day Foundation. The mission of this program is to empower colleges and universities to create healthier, more sustainable campuses through the promotion of effective urban forest management and community engagement. And it's hard to believe that we have achieved that status for 14 years in a row. This year will be our 15th year. So I hope that we can, I hope that we can continue to achieve this recognition in the future. I want to share my gratitude to those of you who support the Arboretum. Specifically, I'd like to thank our admin and facilities team, Michelle Kamenarek and Don Cole, for all of their support. You'll hear from Michelle next. Some of you support the Arboretum by attending our Thriving Outside in the Arboretum programs. There are many partners who help to make those activities successful. Professor Luria, who isn't here today because she's gallivanting across Ireland, created the poetry walk for you to enjoy today. April is National Poetry Month, so once you get your cookie and lemonades, I invite you to take a few minutes to walk the trails and discover a poem tucked among the trees. I'd also like to thank the members of the Audubon Society for supporting our bird walks here. Speaking of birds, watching the various bird visitors in the Arboretum has been one of the biggest thrills for me. You guys know I'm a butterfly person, so I'm kind of switching to birds with all of this excitement with us being an eBird hotspot. So last fall, it was the Philadelphia vireo that even Audubon members tallied as a lifer. And this spring, I've been delighted by the brown thrashers that have started a family here, right behind us. So when you walk down that path, be very quiet because we don't want to disturb them. The Arboretum provides everything that they need: a quiet place with dense and especially lots of food for their babies. And you may have noticed all of the great southern whites flying around in the last week. On cue. So these migratory butterflies need a little weed called poor man's peppergrass, which is scattered throughout the Arboretum. Ralph Waldo Emerson described weeds best. What are weeds? A plant whose virtues have not yet been discovered. So we know the virtues of that little weed, so they're kind of grandfathered in. The presence of these birds and butterflies and other wildlife reminds us of the interconnectedness of all life and the importance of preserving biodiversity. But beyond the Arboretum's ecological significance, it holds a special place in the hearts of all of us who visit. It is a place of solace, of inspiration, and of wonder. The Arboretum has become exactly what Dr. Huckshorn intended it to be. Here, amidst the towering trees and fragrant flowers, we find refuge from the hustle and bustle of daily life. It is a place where time slows down, and we are reminded to pause, to breathe, and to appreciate the beauty that surrounds us. Thank you, and happy Arbor Day. And I'd like to welcome Michelle Kamenarek to come up.
Thank you, Elena. I really appreciate those really inspiring words about the Arboretum. And I just also want to thank Elena. Let's give her a round of applause for just all her work and dedication to the Arboretum. It hasn't gone unnoticed, and I just a great big amount of gratitude. But I wanted to say a few words about the Arboretum. The Robert J. Huckshorn Arboretum provides the FAU community with a unique opportunity to enjoy and connect with the just wealth of opportunities that we have here and additional opportunities we could have to really expand our offerings in the Arboretum. But it wouldn't be possible with the support of all you guys, all the community members, and many of you are here today, and I really appreciate it. So I wanted to talk a little bit about just like contributions to the Arboretum, big or small, just showing up to events. But as far as just like monetary giving, helps the Arboretum be continue to be well managed and flourish. And there's several ways to make a gift, and I just want to lightly talk about this. But one is, as a FAU faculty and staff member, you can do a payroll deduction, and just a low price of $3.85 biweekly equals out to $100 a year. So again, it's not really about just like any amount; it's going to make a difference. People who are not FAU faculty staff can also give, in addition to faculty staff, through our online form. I can give you that link here if you're interested, or by check. And if you have any questions today about giving, you can feel free to ask me, or I can connect you to Jessica Hibbard. She is our development coordinator who unfortunately had a prior engagement and wasn't able to make it today. And with that all just being said, giving helps to expand our programs. Like Dr. Bernat did such a great job explaining, we have these like Chinese tea meditations. We do bird walks with the Audubon Society. We do butterfly walks. There's just so many Tai Chi, and the opportunities are endless. We could do more. And then just looking around, like the Arboretum, tree trimmings, tree liftings I've learned about. You also got to lower trees. It's a lot of little things that you don't think about that makes the Arboretum shine. And we need help by people like you to be able to do those things. So with that being said, even if you can't contribute today, just something to keep in mind. But if anything else, keep coming, keep attending, and keep enjoying this Arboretum, because that's what it's intended for. And with that being said, I know Elena has asked me to remind you about the punch-in cookies behind us, and that there is a poetry walk, and we want to invite all of you to participate. And thank you so much again for coming. It really it makes a difference. Like one thing I learned just, being in school, and as I've gone into my career, is the most important thing is just show up. You just never know what's
Thank you. Have some lemonade and cookies. And there are gifts in the Arboretum. You can help yourself to. The bags. Oh, you did little bags. Nice. You didn't? I gave you one of those. I feel like I gave you one.
All right, let's step this way so you don't have the cute one.
And I just don't want the sun hitting my eyes.
Yeah.
Hi, Chelsea. Hello.
Thank you for helping out.
Yes. That's perfect. You guys look so pretty in all your flowers.
We are Nature Arbor Day ready. You get one more. Perfect. Thank you.
Well, what I like is, I thought, what a good floral, and then of course I couldn't help myself. I did my pink focus.
There you go. I almost wore my sneakers.
I only wore my Yeti before I forgot it.
40 people RSVP'd. A lot of those were online, but like 25 I counted.
I emailed Anna, and she said she was swamped with the medallion, so she's hoping put that together, and that's next week.
Yeah, there were a lot of people who RSVP'd.
But I don't know the other.
faint, and they just had. But you could see.
Yeah, that's what she's saying.
Hard to say.
Thank you. Very nice words. I'm very sad there weren't more people here, but I don't know what happened. I hate it when you throw a party and family have much of it.
I did this video.
Well, look what happened to a lot of people.
Yeah, I did.
We have a lot of people watching online.
Oh, yeah?
And they're the arboretum.
I'm wondering if there's another device
Not just an arrange thing then, you don't think?
I'm thinking this computer is trying to connect to it.